It's 2:30 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. Sarah Chen sits in her computer science class staring at her laptop screen. The teacher's explaining basic Python loops, but Sarah isn't paying attention. She's focused on something far more interesting. The school's homecoming king and queen poll that went live this morning. Her friend Jake, sitting 2 seats over, just lost by 300 votes to the popular kids. But Sarah has an idea. She opens a new browser tab and starts typing code. Within 20 minutes, she's built something that will change everything. It's not sophisticated by industry standards, but it doesn't need to be. Her simple script logs into the school's polling website, casts a vote for Jake, clears its digital footprint, and repeats the process over and over and over again. By the time the final bell rings, Jake has mysteriously surged ahead by 2,000 votes. Sarah just deployed her first bot army. She's 15 years old. This isn't science fiction. This isn't some elaborate heist movie plot. This is happening right now in schools across the country, as teenagers discover they can manipulate digital democracy with nothing more than basic coding skills and an internet connection. But the story doesn't end with homecoming polls. These same techniques are being used to rig online contests, influence social media trends, and even impact real political surveys that news organizations report as legitimate public opinion. The barrier to entry has never been lower, the consequences have never been higher, and the people doing it are getting younger every single day. Today we're diving deep into the underground world of poll manipulation, where children armed with smartphones and laptops are building sophisticated bot networks that can fool major platforms. We'll explore how a simple school prank evolved into a serious threat to digital democracy. We'll meet the teenagers who've mastered these techniques, uncover the tools they're using, and reveal just how easy it's become to manufacture fake consensus online. But first, let me show you exactly how this works, because understanding the mechanism is crucial to grasping the scope of the problem. A poll bot operates on deceptively simple logic. It needs to do 3 things: log in, cast a vote, and disappear. The magic happens in the repetition and the disguise. Modern bots don't just spam votes from the same IP address like amateurs. They're smarter than that. They use proxy servers to mask their location, making each vote appear to come from a different user in a different city. They vary their timing to avoid suspicious patterns. Some even generate unique user profiles complete with believable names and profile pictures. The most sophisticated operations use what experts call bot farms. Picture this: rows upon rows of smartphones, hundreds of them, all connected to USB hubs in warehouse-like facilities. Each phone has its own SIM card, its own IP address, its own digital fingerprint. When these systems vote, they don't look like bots to the platforms they're targeting. They look like real people with real phones making real choices. But you don't need a warehouse full of phones to get started. A teenager with a laptop and some basic programming knowledge can create a bot capable of casting thousands of votes in a matter of hours. The tools are freely available online. The tutorials are posted on YouTube. The code is shared on GitHub. What once required serious technical expertise now takes an afternoon to learn. Let me walk you through a real example of how this unfolds. Last year, a high school in Pennsylvania held an online vote for their new mascot. The options were typical: eagles, lions, wildcats, nothing controversial. But one student, let's call him Alex, had a different idea. He wanted to see if he could get banana added as a write-in option and actually win. Alex spent his weekend building what he called his democracy destroyer. It was a simple script that could create fake student accounts, verify them through temporary email addresses, and cast votes. He tested it on a small scale first, just a few dozen votes to make sure it worked. Then he let it run overnight. By Monday morning, Banana was leading by over 800 votes. The school administration was baffled. They couldn't understand how their student body had suddenly become so passionate about fruit-themed mascots. They ran the poll again, this time with more security measures. Alex adjusted his bot accordingly. Banana won again. The story might seem harmless, even funny. But Alex had inadvertently demonstrated something troubling: the complete vulnerability of online democratic processes to automated manipulation. If a high school student could rig a mascot vote in his spare time, what did that mean for more serious polls and elections? The answer is more disturbing than you might think. The same techniques Alex used for his banana experiment are being deployed on a massive scale across the internet. Political polls, product reviews, social media contests, even academic surveys are all vulnerable to the same basic attack. The only difference is the level of sophistication and the stakes involved. Consider what happened during the 2022 midterm elections. Researchers at Clemson University discovered an army of artificial intelligence-powered accounts on social media platforms, all pushing specific political narratives. These weren't foreign operatives or professional political consultants. The digital fingerprints suggested many of these operations were run by young Americans, possibly teenagers, who had figured out how to weaponize AI chatbots for political influence. The implications are staggering. If children can build bot armies capable of fooling major social media platforms, what happens when they turn their attention to more critical systems? Election polls that news organizations cite as authoritative. Online petitions that influence policy decisions. Consumer surveys that shape business strategies. The democratization of bot-building technology means we're living in an era where a motivated teenager can potentially influence public opinion on a scale that was once reserved for nation-states and major corporations. The tools that enable this manipulation are becoming more powerful every day, while the systems designed to detect and prevent it struggle to keep pace. But this story isn't just about technology. It's about power, influence, and the fundamental question of who gets to shape public opinion in the digital age. When children can build systems capable of manufacturing consensus, what does that mean for democracy itself? The rabbit hole goes deeper than school polls and social media contests, much deeper. And as we'll discover, the line between harmless pranks and serious threats to democratic processes is thinner than anyone imagined. The scale of this problem becomes clear when you examine what happened during a seemingly innocent online contest last summer. A major beverage company was running a Design Our Next Flavor competition where public votes would determine the winner. The prize was $50,000 and a year-long marketing campaign. Within hours of the contest going live, something strange began happening. Votes were pouring in at an impossible rate, not just hundreds or thousands, but tens of thousands every hour. The company's servers were struggling to keep up. But here's the twist. The winning design wasn't from a professional marketing firm or an established artist. It was submitted by a 16-year-old named Marcus from suburban Ohio, and his design was objectively terrible. A poorly drawn cartoon character with the words "epic flavor" scrawled underneath in Comic Sans font. How did Marcus suddenly become the front-runner against hundreds of professional submissions? He didn't just build one bot, he built an entire ecosystem of them. Marcus had spent months studying how different platforms detect automated behavior. He programmed his bots to pause at random intervals, to occasionally vote for competing entries to avoid suspicion, even to engage with the contest's social media posts to appear more human. But Marcus wasn't working alone. He had recruited his entire computer science class into what they called Operation Flavor Victory. Each student contributed their own bots, their own proxy servers, their own fake accounts. They turned it into a game, competing to see who could generate the most votes without getting caught. They had spreadsheets tracking their progress, Discord channels coordinating their attacks, even a point system for the most creative bot behaviors. The beverage company eventually caught on, but not until Marcus had accumulated over 2 million votes. They quietly disqualified him and implemented new security measures, but the damage was done. A group of teenagers had demonstrated they could manipulate a major corporate contest with nothing more than after-school project enthusiasm. This is where the story gets truly concerning. Marcus and his friends didn't stop with the flavor contest. They started selling their services. $20 to boost your Instagram post, $50 to help your band win a local music competition, $100 to skew a neighborhood poll about a proposed development project. They weren't thinking about the broader implications. To them, it was just easy money using skills they developed for fun. But their clients weren't always teenagers looking to win popularity contests. Local political candidates began reaching out, small businesses wanting to manipulate their online reviews. Even parents trying to help their kids win school elections. The line between harmless pranks and serious manipulation was disappearing entirely. The most disturbing part isn't the technology itself, but how casually these young people approached it. In interviews with dozens of teenagers involved in bot operations, the same phrases kept coming up. It's not really hurting anyone. Everyone's doing it. The system was broken anyway. They saw themselves as exposing flaws rather than exploiting them. One 17-year-old who asked to remain anonymous explained his philosophy. Adults built these systems and they're terrible at protecting them. We're just showing how easy it is to break them. Maybe now they'll actually fix the problems. When pressed about the ethical implications, he shrugged. Politicians lie, companies manipulate us with advertising, the whole system is fake anyway. At least we're honest about it. This generational divide in understanding digital manipulation runs deeper than simple rule breaking. These teenagers have grown up in an environment where influence can be manufactured, where virality can be engineered, where authenticity itself has become a marketing strategy. To them, bot armies aren't a corruption of the system. They're just another tool in an already manipulated landscape. The technical arms race continues escalating. As platforms develop better detection methods, the bot builders adapt. They're now using artificial intelligence to make their fake accounts more convincing. Machine learning algorithms that can generate human-like writing patterns. Image generation tools that create realistic profile pictures of people who don't exist. Voice synthesis technology that can pass phone verification systems. What started as simple vote-casting scripts has evolved into sophisticated influence operations that would make professional political consultants jealous, and the people running them are still in high school. The implications extend far beyond rigged polls and manipulated contests. These same techniques are being deployed to influence public opinion on critical issues. Climate change discussions, vaccine debates, political primaries, local ballot measures. When teenagers can manufacture the appearance of grassroots support or opposition, the very foundation of democratic decision-making begins to crumble. Perhaps most troubling is how normalized this behavior has become. Schools report that using bots for student government elections is now common enough that they've had to implement specific rules against it. Social media contests routinely get thousands of fake votes from teenage bot operators, treating it like a video game. Online surveys conducted by news organizations and research institutions are increasingly unreliable due to automated manipulation. The children who built these bot armies didn't set out to undermine democracy. They were curious, creative, and technically skilled young people who discovered they could bend digital systems to their will. But in doing so, they've exposed a fundamental vulnerability in how we measure public opinion, conduct elections, and make collective decisions in the digital age. The question isn't whether this problem can be solved with better technology or stricter rules. The question is whether we can rebuild trust in democratic processes when everyone knows how easily they can be manipulated. When a teenager with a laptop can potentially influence public opinion on the same scale as major media organizations or political campaigns, What does that mean for the future of informed democratic participation? The bot armies built by children have revealed something uncomfortable about our digital democracy. It was never as secure as we thought it was. And now that the knowledge of how to manipulate it has spread to anyone with basic coding skills and internet access, there's no going back. The next time you see a poll result, a viral social media post, or a contest winner that seems surprising, remember Sarah and Marcus and Alex. Remember that behind those numbers might be a teenager in a computer science class who decided to see what would happen if they tried to change the world. One automated vote at a time. The age of manufactured consensus has arrived, and its architects are still asking their parents for rides to school.